traveling here from Europe to play in the final North American regional championship of this season, and bringing, I would say, a pretty standard-looking Gardevoird deck.
Yeah, I think we've seen this style, the Cleffa inclusion. This is starting to look a little like what we're used to. 4 copies of Bravery Charm, though.
Yeah, so, I mean, Kyle, I know this is an unusual matchup, but do you have any predictions for how this might go?
I trust the consistency of Gardevoird so often in these spots, but also you never really know what's going to happen. That's a lot of ways to search Pokemon, and Lily's Clefairy in there for the prizes. And wow, a lot of one-ups over on Ray's side.
Yeah. Mew EX, Iron Leaves, Fezandipity EX. One card we're going to see a lot of is actually that bug catching set. We'll get into it more as these cards get played. But yeah, lots of unusual cards here. I do think this Toedscruel deck will surprise you with how consistent it is as well. You know, you have the Teal Mask, Ogerpon EX. You're just kind of drawing through your deck with that Teal Dance. And I'm excited to get this one going, Kyle.
Yeah. The consistency of 12 grass energy. That's right where I want to be. It's something you really don't see too often, and we've got a great opportunity here.
All right, here we go. Kicking off round 6 here in Portland for the regional championships. Our international champion, Miloslav, will be going first, starting with, I would say, maybe not the ideal starter, but it could be worse. Got the Fezandipity EX.
Yeah, it's not exactly what you're looking for. You got an opportunity to build on this board, however. You need to find some basic Pokemon to get the ball rolling, as we saw just last round, and it all starts with that Ralts.
Yeah, now Kyle, if you're going first with this Gardevoird deck, obviously you're hoping to glean some information on what your opponent is playing when they flip over their active Pokemon. You see a Teal Mask Ogerpon. There's a chance you've heard the buzz around the room and you know what Ray is playing, but let's say you're in Miloslav's shoes and you see your opponent starts with the Teal Mask Ogerpon. What's going through your head? How are you going to approach your first turn?
Yeah, I mean, you see Teal Mask on the other side, and you think, well, she's got to be playing a Raging Bolt or something like that. You've seen this card in many different iterations of deck, but you're certainly maybe not expecting the Toedscruel this time around. It could have caught up to you at this point, and then you just consider, well, I got to play my game. I'm going to set up my Gardevoird as quickly as possible. I'm going to find ways to put damage on the board and try to take these knockouts as optimally as I can. It's not always going to be big one-hit knockout left and right.
Yeah, you do love to start with that A-Spec secret box. Discard 3 cards, a hefty cost, but you get to search for basically one of each trainer type, right? You get supporter, item, stadium, and a Pokemon tool. And looks like Miloslav going to make those decisions here. Grabs the Artisan to get a Ralts, and you have to assume step 1 is get more than one Ralts in play, and then try to go from there. But looks like, I mean, anytime you go first and start with the secret box, you got to be feeling pretty good, right?
Sign me up, yeah. Holding on to the rare candy, that easily could have been a card like Buddy Puffin, Nest Ball, something to find additional resources, additional basic Pokemon. So you have to expect that the hand's got a little more juice to it, or at least a guarantee of that Gardevoird on the second turn.
Yeah, it looks like he does have an Ultra Ball and Rare Candy, doesn't have access to a second Ralts. May just be thinking, you know, at this stage, with how decks are being built right now, the threat of your one Ralts getting knocked out is not super high. You know, we could see, you know, if you're going up against like a Raging Bolt, they could Prime Catcher or even like an Iron Bundle could get you here. But looks like Miloslav is just setting up for a turn 2 Rare Candy Gardevoird. How are you feeling about that? High risk, high reward?
Right. It works out fairly well if you have that information. And as you talked about, you've probably heard the buzz. You see that Ray is playing a very interesting deck, but you do have time playing against this build. It's a little slower to getting set up, but once it does set up, you have this ability to just load all these energies onto the board and take some pretty big knockouts.
Yeah, so Ray, I think she's going to want to just get a couple Toedscruel down, and this is not a Pokemon we see very often, so your eyes are not deceiving you. That is a Toedscruel, grass-type Pokemon, and this deck's all about getting a bunch of grass energy in play. It's pretty straightforward. You use Teal Mask Ogerpon EX's Teal Dance ability to attach grass energy to it, and you just try to get energy on all of your Pokemon because Toedscruel EX has that Colony Rush does 40 more damage for each of your bench Pokemon that has any grass energy attached. I do want to point out, Ray does play 4 energy switch and prime catcher.
Okay.
So that Ralts might not actually be safe.
Yeah, you mentioned it here, and we see the prime catcher already there in hand. There's opportunities.
It's all here.
You gotta be kidding me.
Turn 1 Myriad Leaf Shower. Miloslav probably didn't see that one coming.
That's not on the bingo card, but it worked out so well here, and this is all before using your supporter for the turn. Has the professor's research to follow up, and even another nest ball. This is a ridiculous setup here.
All right, kicking things off with a bang. Yeah, both players on their first turn playing their ace-spec cards. Pretty wild to see. And this is going to put Ray at an advantage to start off, right? You know, Ralts needs to be in play for a turn before you can evolve it. And that means Miloslav is not going to be able to get a Gardevoird EX for another turn. And this may be a matchup that Miloslav looks at, like, I don't know what is supposed to happen here. And you may get a little bit nervous in this situation.
And you're getting into dangerous territory as well. With each knockout of a Ralts, boss's orders to follow up, take another Ralts knockout, and then you have the addition of a Toedscruel with the slime mold colony on the bench. You could potentially just lock out from Night Stretchers any Gardevoird from play.
Yeah, we see 4 energy in play on the first turn, using all these different Teal Mask, Ogerpon, EX abilities, and attachment for the turn. There's 4 Ogerpon in play.
We're not done yet.
This is wild. So yeah, just all grass Pokemon in play. A pure grass board at this point. Not something I expected to see, you know, at a time where we're seeing, there's a 5th energy coming into play. At a time where we're seeing, like, Terra box decks for just like a rainbow of different types of Pokemon. How about just all grass?
Well, you drew 4 extra cards with Teal Mask Ogerpon. You drew 7 with research and 1 for the turn. I think when you see upwards of 12 additional cards, you're finding knockouts, and it worked out so well here for Ray, jumping into those prize cards and taking a very early lead.
Yeah, now if you're a Miloslav, what's next? Obviously you need to establish another Ralts at least, ideally 2 at this point. But, you know, Gardevoird is a deck known for falling behind early, makes big comebacks. Obviously, that is not what you hoped would happen on your opponent's first turn. They just prime catchered your only Ralts and knocked it out. But at this point, are you panicking at all, or are you just kind of sticking to the game plan and hoping that you can, you know, stabilize at some point?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. You expected to have that Gardevoird on this turn. Instead, you're playing this slower approach. You had to search out that Ralts early on and probably have to find a second one here now too. The hand isn't great. You don't have any Pokemon to really put any pressure on your opponent, and slowing down and going to a Badoo doesn't feel very strong either. Your opponent doesn't need item cards. They're just throwing basic energies on the board and taking knockouts.
And one thing to consider is this Toedscruel deck, it is, I would say, kind of linear or straightforward in its game plan, right? You get a bunch of energy in play, you attack the active. It's not a tricky kind of deck like a Dragapult deck where you can set up multiple knockouts. It's not, you know, like Gardevoird where you have like the Monkey Dory to move some damage around, things like that. And your game plan is almost exclusively using Pokemon EX that give up 2 prize cards. So this does feel like a situation where you can jump out to a lead, but then when your opponent starts hitting you with, you know, the Drifloon, the single prize Pokemon, they can start, you know, like trading 2 prizes for 1 and start to make a comeback. So there probably is a little bit of breathing room in this matchup, but I mean, Ray is just going to put on pressure every turn at this point, right? Every turn they're just going to be attack, attack, attack. So Miloslav does feel like he's kind of on the back foot here and has to go for the Cleffa.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense in this spot. You have the double Ralts. You can start to refresh your hand at this point, and sure, you're going to give up that prize card, but you're not worried about losing too many of those 2 prize knockouts at this stage. If your opponent targets Serendipity, they're not going to cash in on taking potential Ralts Gardevoird off of the board, and you have potential to use that of Pokemon later on in this game. With a damage cap at 280 for the Toedscruel deck, you're probably feeling pretty comfortable using Gardevoird in that mid-stage.
And you say that, Kyle, but this deck does play Area 0 underdepths as well.
Oh, hang on.
You can extend that bench to 8.
Uh-oh.
We can reach for some pretty big numbers with this.
Well, that gets tricky then. You do need the energies. But at this point, you see how Ray has been attaching left and right. There's opportunities with energy switching and whatnot. So just have these energies on the board and maybe have 6 energies on your bench.
Now, you could see a potential game plan where, you just take a single prize knockout here and there. We do see the regular Toedscruel with that slime mold colony and the Area 0 underdepths as well. So yeah, this slime mold colony will prevent or basically neutralize any of Miloslav's night stretchers for the rest of the game. He plays 4. Those are just 4 cards that don't do anything for the rest of the game. Maybe another thing where you're like, I don't know how this game's going.
Yeah, no, it's starting to feel a little precarious at this spot. Just the knockouts are going to be so simple for Ray, just continuing to just take the active Pokemon. You used Iono, but look at this setup. You have everything that you want so far. If you can just continue to find a few more resources, you will be threatening 2 prize knockouts, and it could just be combinations of boss to close this out with one just now added to the hand.
Yeah, exactly. Gardevoird EX has to come out at some point. That's a 2 prize target. The Pheasantipity, another 2 prize target. So you can see a game plan here. It's not going to be easy, right? Your hand's going to get disrupted. And Miloslav has to read the Toedscruel EX. Never a great sign. But I also don't blame him.
Right. Yeah, you're not really prepared for this. You've seen the 1/1 tech of the other Toedscruel with the golden goes that were thrown around, but this is its own deck, and it's certainly something you need to be worried about at this stage.
Yeah, so we're all along for the ride here, and we see another Myriad Leaf Shower from the Teal Mask Ogrepon EX. Second prize card taken for Ray, and now Miloslav needs to respond soon. Feels like this is a big turn, right? You need to get Gardevoird up and running. Falling behind 2 prize cards, that's doable. 3, not feeling so good.
Yeah, and this is a spot where you really are feeling a lot of that regret from the opening turns. Missing out on that Ralt slowed you down. Finding that one of rare candy is going to be tricky when you lose access to that secret box. Means you basically just have to use an Arven or find this card off the top.
Yeah, so Earthen Vessel, getting those crucial psychic energy into the discard pile. Of course, this deck is fueled by Gardevoird EX's ability, taking psychic energy out of the discard pile, attaching them. That's not blocked by the slime mold colony. It only blocks things that put cards back into your hand directly. So you can still use Psychic Embrace. But yeah, there's multiple steps to setting up the Gardevoird deck, of course. You need to get Gardevoird EX in play, but then you also need the energy in the discard pile. So Miloslav working towards that. And we'll see what kind of turn he can piece together. Kyle, what do you think he's aiming for this turn? What's your ideal outcome?
I think he was hoping that Iono was Arven, because that did not work out for him. He found the wrong supporter, and now he's missing out on the rare candy. I guess he's not even going for that in this
there's
list.
a reason he doesn't have Arven.
it's just researches, and I guess there was no real fun answer there for you. It's just slow down the pace, bring up that Toedscruel. And you don't feel great about this.
Okay, well, still got the Iono. Put your opponent down to 4 cards. You'll draw 6. There's always a chance you draw Rare Candy and Gardevoird off of these 6 cards. You know that you put 6 non-Rare Candy Gardevoird cards on the bottom. And look at that, first 2 cards, Ultra Ball and Rare Candy. So things are turning around.
Works out so well. We see, looks like at least 1 copy of Psychic Energy, maybe a second one in there as well. So some access to attacking, but taking knockouts in the spot, it's a little trickier.
Yeah, and also attached for the turn already, so we won't get to see any use out of like Monkey Dory, anything like that. But yeah, what kind of turn can you piece together here? We do not have a fully stocked discard pile with those Psychic Energy. Not sure, and there's not any in the hand to discard with the Ultra Ball either. So I don't think there's a relevant attack you can get off with the Balloon Burst from the Drifloon. Now what? You're not taking a knockout this turn, but is there anything you can at least set up and give yourself some progression towards getting back into this game?
Yeah, I mean, the only other Pokemon there would be the Screamtail, but it looks like that's one of the Pokemon you're going to discard now with the Ultra Ball. But it's because you have so many great resources in hand. You have the Dark Energy that you'd love to use in combination with the Monkey Dory, but it's going to have to toss that to the wayside and maybe just attack with Gardevoird itself. Say, I'm pretty happy that your Toedscruel's stuck in the active, and there's a chance that you just don't find Energy Switch and a decent attack.
Yeah, especially after the INO, putting Ray down to 4 cards. Decent chance, that they won't draw, energy plus energy switch. So I think it's a reasonable gambit to take here. And it does have a heavy retreat cost as well. So you really do need to rely on that. And the prime catcher is gone, so there's no switching ways out of it. So yeah, I mean, when you're behind like this, you just got to take some chances sometimes, right? And hope that it works out.
Seems like it's going to be a pretty solid call here. You see 7 energies already on the board. It's the 12 copies. So 5 energies to help out in a spot to even try to draw out of this with the Teal Mask, but ultimately just find the energies to attack with the active Pokemon.
All right, and we do see the Miracle Force, 190 damage, not quite enough. But one thing to point out is that the Colony Rush, it needs to check each Pokemon that has a grass energy attached. It's not the total amount of grass energy you have in play. So right now, they're kind of centralized on the Ogerpon. There's only 4 benched Pokemon that have grass energy attached to them. So to even reach for a knockout on the Gardevoird EX, you would probably need to find a couple energy switch to make this work.
Yeah, it'd be all of them at this point because you need an additional one to go to the active.
Yep.
So to find those resources off of an Iono to 4 would be pretty unlikely. This is that card you highlighted earlier, though,
yeah.
the bug catching set. It is so impactful to finding these grass energies at the right time, sometimes also the grass Pokemon.
This is basically like an earthen vessel that sometimes finds your Pokemon. Look at that. Just got 2 grass energy.
What's in the net?
Yeah, obviously this card basically only works in a heavy grass deck. Right? You look at the top 7 cards, you can take up to 2 in any combination of grass Pokemon and basic grass energy, so your deck needs a high enough concentration of grass Pokemon and basic grass energy, otherwise this card isn't going to connect enough of the time to be worth it. But when you're playing 12 grass energy and who knows how many grass Pokemon, then yeah, it's a really solid item card that just lets you churn through your deck and find what you need.
And we see that energy to find an additional resource. It is a supporter. It's Iono, though.
There is an energy switch in hand, so at the very least we could see an attack this turn. But I do think Ray needs a second energy switch to move an energy to one of these other Pokemon to Colony Rush for just enough damage for the knockout.
Yeah, with the Psychic Embrace damage that's added into the mix, you're just going to be a little short. There is an opportunity to find that resource with the Iono. Do you feel lucky here, Ray?
One thing you could also consider, if you can stack enough energy on a Teal Mask Ogerpon, you could go for the Myriad Leaf Shower. It does take quite a bit, so I don't think that's going to really add up here. But yeah, that is another strange thing that can happen.
Well, this is where you really regret seeing those prize cards. There's some Pokemon that could be helping. A Mew EX would be fantastic in this spot.
Yeah, I think Ray may not have noticed that while looking through the deck before. May not have access to the Mew EX and discarded the only supporter card in her hand and now might be stuck in an awkward situation. I think the only card left in hand is the Super Rod. So this is going to be not an ideal spot, to say the least.
I mean, with the Super Rod there, you can play that down and potentially see 3 resources there with the Mew. It's not there. You see also that Iron Leaves as a potential Pokemon to bring into the mix.
Oh, yeah, Iron Leaves would have been huge as well. You can Rapid Vernier, move 2 energy to it, and switch in, and then retreat back to the Toedscruel, a way to spread out your energy.
Oh.
So both the Mew and the Iron Leaves are prized and take away Ray's opportunity to get a knockout here. Going to be just short with the Colony Rush, and this is the opening that Miloslav needed to get back into this game.
That's desperate as it may be, with 5 different pips of dice on you.
It's 300. It's got 10 HP left.
He's hanging on.
Sorry, 280.
Still
can't do math. But all right. Well, you have to breathe in a sigh of relief after that. At least your Pokemon didn't get knocked out. But now what?
Yeah.
Your Gardevoird EX is heavily damaged. You got to think that's going to be a target for the rest of the game. And what does Miloslav have? Has he just played down all of his cards?
Yeah, and that's the problem when you don't get knocked out. You almost want to see some prize cards or give some prize cards up to draw a Pheasantipity. You'd probably lose the game because that's your Gardevoird, but he's now in a spot where he's got to find an answer, and it's not great. You can move some damage around, maybe attack with the Monkey Dory, and
oh, here we go.
It's a way to stay in this game.
All right, there is the Mind Bend for the knockout. Miloslav tying this game up at 4 prize cards apiece, and Ray hoping to draw a good card here, and it's another Super Rod. That is not a good card. There's no attack on board for Ray at this point. A very costly Ultra Ball the previous turn, discarding the Iono, has no supporter card, and what was an excellent start now has turned into a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, there's thankfully an attacker available in the Teal Mask Ogerpon with the 3 energies, so you can take a knockout in the spot if you want to find some resources out of your prize cards and stay in this race, but you're also threatening to lose another 2 prizes on the very next turn. But this is kind of what you have to do at this point. Shuffle some grass energy back in, and maybe you can draw out of this thing soon enough.
Yeah. So there were 3 grass energy on that Teal Mask Ogerpon EX, so we see yet another Myriad Leaf Shower for a knockout. It's questionable how valuable that knockout will be to progressing towards winning the game. You might just feel like, I need to get a prize. Yeah, I know I have the Mew EX prized. I know I have the Iron Leaves prized. Like maybe there's something good in my prize cards that I can just fish out of there. But now you've given Miloslav access to his Flip the Script on Pheasantipity EX, and things can turn around very quickly.
Yeah, there's Flip the Script, there's Counter Catcher, there's all sorts of avenues if you want to take them to disrupt your opponent even further. Seems likely that the knockout on the active would be pretty beneficial to you at this point. Your opponent's shown you nothing at this stage, and you have a Bravery Charm Drifloon ready to go. It's just, do you have the Psychic energies at this point to get the full attack?
That's what we'll find out shortly. Also, another Bravery Charm. You could potentially see this going on to the Pheasantipity EX. At this stage, not sure how impactful that will be because your opponent is at 3 prize cards. Your Gardevoird EX is heavily damaged, and that's going to be the easier target to take down instead of the Pheasantipity at this point. But if you're going to put your hand on the bottom of your deck, may as well attach that Bravery Charm to something at this point. And here we go. Is there something that Miloslav is hoping to draw off of this, Kyle?
I didn't see what the energy counts were looking like at that point. If you have access to the Psychic energies to attack with the Drifloon, you feel great. It's certainly not double Night Stretcher, which we see now.
Still don't have a way to use those because of the Slime Mold colony. I think you can play them. They just won't do anything. Looks like Flip the Script coming in. 3 additional cards.
No.
Another Night Stretcher. Again, Toedscruel Slime Mold Colony does prevent Night Stretcher from returning cards from your discard pile directly to your hand. So neutralizing those cards. But with the Adrenabrain and just attacking with Gardevoird, you can get a knockout on this Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. It's just a question of whether or not you want to.
Yeah, we see the 2 energies now, so 4 Psychic energies to the discard pile. Means that your Drifloon has the potential to now attack for 240, take a knockout here on the active Pokemon. It's right where you want to be. You don't know what else you could potentially run into. Jamming Tower is a card, but we don't see that here in the list. You don't know what you're going to see from the Toedscruel deck.
Yeah, we do see the Adrenabrain moving some damage counters over to the Toedscruel on the bench that is 60 HP. So next turn that could be finished off by another Adrenabrain if needed. And yes, here comes Psychic Embrace, the damage counters onto the Drifloon, and it will use the Balloon Blast for the big knockout. And Miloslav is en route to a comeback here. What can Ray do at this point?
Well, I think it starts with supporter or energy here to get out of this mess. You need to find some additional resources. Find a decent attacker in the spot, but once you knock out that Drifloon, which it barely takes a gust of wind to knock it out at this stage, you don't really get to capitalize on the prize race. You're going to go right back to a 2-2 prize race with one of those 2 prize Pokemon in the active spot, more likely than not.
A very close finish here. We do see the Ultra Ball for Pheasantipity EX can flip the script. There's a professor's research in hand for Ray. So if she wants to play that as the supporter card for the turn and just try to draw a bunch of cards, that is an option. And looks like that will be the choice. And a high five. There we go. 7 clean cards off of that. And what is Ray looking for here? Probably a way to evolve the Toedscruel. It does feel a little bad that you're not able to disrupt your opponent's hand after this, but remember, Miloslav cannot play Night Stretcher to get back the Drifloon, so it is kind of an awkward spot, right? You can knock out this Drifloon, go down to 2 prize cards. Your opponent doesn't have access to Counter Catcher,
yeah,
and they may not have a way to go after a Pokemon EX. So it'll just depend on what Ray is able to attack with here.
Yep, and with avoiding overbenching, you could have maybe play around Lily's Clefairy knockout at this stage. You just have to consider all of these small niche lines to avoid giving your opponent a window.
The betrayal. Now Iron Leaf shows up.
There you are.
So yeah, one of the awkward parts, I don't know if Ray has a non-EX attacker that can finish off this Drifloon here. Most of their Pokemon in play can just be knocked out by, Adrenabrain plus Gardevoird EX attacking. So kind of on board, your EX are getting knocked out and you're going to lose. We do see the evolution into the Toedscruel EX. This is one of the things that can survive.
Yep, Energy Switch was also found, so attacking with this Pokemon now well
there we go.
Board.
So this will force Miloslav to have something this turn. Right now, the way the board looks, there is not a clean knockout onto this Toedscruel EX, but obviously it's very nerve-wracking. There are any number of things that could result in you losing the game on this next turn, but Ray is going to take her best shot here, Colony Rush, and just hope that Miloslav does not have a way to close out the game. I believe Miloslav also Ultra Balled away the Scream Tail earlier in the game. Again, you can't get it back with the Night Stretcher, so a second Monkey Dory with another Darkness Energy. I think that's a way to close out this game. But otherwise, what are you doing here?
No, you're spot on. I think that's pretty much the one spot you have.
Fairy is the other one, yeah.
You've got 190 with the Gardevoird, all the Night Stretcher. The most satisfying discard of your life coming up. But this is the spot where do you trust your deck to find Monkey Dory Dark Energy here to use the research, or do you burn all of the Night Stretcher and then use Iono to slow your opponent down?
It feels like between the professor's research and flip the script, you have a pretty good shot of finding what you need. But yeah, if you go for it and miss, all your opponent needs is a boss's orders, and then you lose. So this is huge here for Night Stretchers. Go to the discard pile as Miloslav looks for a way to close out this game. Needs to get a knockout this turn. Will he find it?
We see the Dark Energy and the Ultra Ball.
You got to think if there's something there. He's found the cards to get it.
Well, you might as well check Earthen Vessel to see what's going on in there. Lily's Clefairy is in the deck. He's got the Psychic Energies to go along with it.
All right, Earthen Vessel going to thin out a bit more. Yeah, the Lily Clefairy should do it, right? That Full Moon Rondo is doing a lot.
Yeah, you've got 20 more for every bench Pokemon, 6 on one side, 3 on the other, dealing 200 damage there. So you're close. You just need to add a couple more Pokemon. You have your own Monkey Dory.
That does it too.
And yeah, that's the double dark strategy we were thinking about. That's going to do it here.
All right.
And Miloslav finds a way when it looked pretty difficult up against a deck he's probably not seen before.
Yeah, and he still looks a bit confused about what happened in that game. He's happy he won, but that was a bit of a weird one.
That was mental gymnastics for everyone. I'm sure watching as well, just trying to put the pieces together. It is an absolute doozy. For Ray, This is an opportunity now to build on that mistake that we saw in game number 1, losing out on those resources, and show what the deck's made of. There's a potential to win that game fairly outright if you have a hand.
Yeah, there was just that one turn, right? That was the difference in this one. Ray got off to a blazing fast start. She had the prime catcher on the first turn. The myriad leaf shower took a quick lead. Miloslav started to claw back, and there was just kind of that one fateful turn where the Iron Leaves EX was prized. Ray discarded the wrong thing off the Ultra Ball in retrospect after looking at the deck, and that was the one turn that Miloslav needed to kind of claw back into the game.
Yep. Of course, we've got great sportsmanship here.
Yep.
Gotta go for the high five when you're on stream, and it led to a really great showdown here at the end. Miloslav had to find the right resources, burns just about every card in the deck to get the job done, and he's got double Dark Energy Monkey Dory, can push the damage up and take the big knockout there with the Gardevoird and close things out.
Yeah. Now, Kyle, after we've seen one game of this matchup, what do you think happens here? Who's actually favored here?
You know what? I think Ray's favored because Miloslav just scooped.
Is that right?
That was a quick one. We'll have to get confirmation, but I saw Screamtail and then I saw Miloslav pick up everything.
All right. Well, yes, you are correct. We're going to game 3, Kyle.
You know what? Miloslav's a man after my own heart. This is my go-to patented strategy. I love going for this. When you're playing in 50 minutes and you know that you're playing against a matchup, you might be able to have the lead if you have everything go your way. Why play a bad hand? Why bother?
We promised you something a little strange this round, and we got it. Back and forth, game 1. Followed by a game 2 you didn't even get to see because it's over already. And all right, Kyle, now that we're going into game 3, what do you think's going to happen here? Are we going to get to see a turn played?
I think I like Miloslav's chances.
All right, we'll find out. First things first, a lot of times these days you do choose to go second. What do you think? Is this a matchup where you would want to go second?
Yeah, I mean, the same rules apply. You're playing against a Badoo deck. You want to have an opportunity to use your supporter on the opening turn, find those item cards, burn all of them as fast as you can, maybe even use a Night Stretcher this game.
For sure. All right.
That looks to be the case.
Kicking things off with the bug catching set, and that's a lot of green, Kyle. There are 6 different things to pick from. You can only take 2.
Oh.
But, yeah, that'd be a lot better if you could take all of them. But it looks like a strong start. We saw a Teal Mask, Ogrepon, EX, and a Grass Energy. Not sure if you got to take a look at Ray's hand, but I don't know if there's a way to find a Toedscruel.
Yeah,
anything?
I didn't see it just yet. And, obviously, you've got the potential to draw a little bit here if you can thin this hand down. There's the restart on the Mew to see some more resources, but this is an opportunity to set up, see some more cards, and have that turn 2 threat that we saw turn 1 on game 1.
And the card looks like it was Energy Switch. That's not going to do it.
There is Ultra Ball, but it comes at a cost. You've probably losing, one of the 2 supporters. There's Iono and Research, but you're going to lose out on some pretty pivotal resources at some point.
Yeah, feels like, you got to play the Ultra Ball. What are you discarding? You probably assume you're going to get hit by Badoo, Itchy Pollen next turn. You might not be able to play item cards. So it seems reasonable to potentially just throw away an Energy Switch and really try to maximize this turn the best you can. Yep. Yeah, when you know that Itchy Pollen is coming, you need to try to play out some item cards. Obviously, the Energy Switch, those are valuable resources as the game progresses, but you also need to be able to do something on your second turn, so there's a middle ground you need to find.
Yeah, I think we saw Energy in the hand as well as a second Energy Switch potentially, so you could play that onto the Toedscruel, have that Pokemon already set up with 2 energies ready to go for next turn, and maybe even see an additional card with the Mew.
So potentially a painful prize card here. The Squawkabilly EX is in the prize cards this time, so we're not having great luck so far with that. And the Iron Leaves betraying her once again in the prize cards. Yeah, might have been a situation where you're happy to throw away your hand and Squawk and Seize for a bunch of new cards to try to get as many Ogrepon in play as you can. But that's not going to be an option this time. And we do see the Energy Switch just used. Again, getting ahead of the Itchy Pollen. And 1, crucial card off the restart.
Not that one.
Another Ultra Ball. You could consider playing it, but it would be very costly.
Yeah, that'd be pretty tough. You see the Prime Catcher in hand. If your opponent does not find a Ralts right here, that'd be painful. It also hurts to throw away that Curlia. Was that a second copy
That's
too?
two Curlia down,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
It's all right, though. He's got Night Stretchers.
You know?
Not in this hand, though.
We'll see about that.
Might be a race. I mean, you just play Rare Candy as well. So
What if you just evolve into the other one and Badoo lock from here? This could-
I don't know if that strategy would quite work.
Not against Monkey Dory.
Yeah. We could see like evolving into the regular Toedscruel and using the Mushroom Drain just to get a knockout, to put some pressure on, but also block the Night Stretcher.
Yeah.
Probably not a play I would recommend either, but
Anything could happen in Game 3.
you got to look at all the options, you know?
Yep. There's a lot of different lines here. We talked about how linear this deck can be, but also you've got potential to surprise your opponent and catch them slacking. They throw away Curlias as they have to do, and sometimes you can take advantage of that.
All right, looks like Cleffa is the choice once again for Miloslav, not the Badoo. And he's just going to go straight away for the Pheasantipity EX. Once again, only one Ralts in play. Maybe we'll see a second one come down, but it could be another dangerous scenario. We do know Ray has that Prime Catcher once again, so we'll see what Miloslav has here. I have to assume a second Ralts is coming.
Yeah,
Or not.
I mean, this is a hedge play that you have. Is if you expect your opponent to target down the Ralts, you don't think that you're going to have the Rare Candy Gardevoird on the next turn. You play the Pheasantipity, you allow your opponent to take that Ralts, you draw the additional resources, and then find 2 Ralts on the following turn while you have an attacker potentially in that Cleffa or Monkey Dory if you can keep energies around.
Yeah, but he will have to retreat, right? So he won't have a follow-up attacker on the next turn.
Right.
But again, maybe just content falling behind 2 prize cards at the beginning. Worked out for him last game. So yeah, we'll just see the grasping draw with Cleffa. Pretty simple attack, but you get to draw till you have 7 cards in your hand. A nice way to refill, and it costs 0 energy to use. So it's a nice emergency Pokemon you can just throw down. You can search it out with Artisan, Nest Ball, things like that. It's just a way to use those ball search cards to convert into drawing more cards and set yourself up for a strong second turn.
Now, Miloslav did find an additional resource by playing down and filling his bench, but it does lead to this situation where you have 1 Ralts in play. And if it's knocked out, you only have 1 bench space available. You can play 1 at a time, and if Ray just consistently has Prime Catcher, Boss's Orders, you are not going to be advancing your board state at all.
Well, and especially if, this is really unlikely to happen, but if all of your Ralts got knocked out and that Toedscruel with the slime mold colonies out there, you can't get them back.
It's over. Yep. There's no super rod way to bring them back. It is all based on Night Stretcher. You'd have to knock out that Toedscruel by setting up manual attachments on Pokemon. It's just not going to work.
All right, so we do see the Toedscruel EX and the Prime Catcher going after the Ralts, and Ray will go down to 0 cards in hand, but she does have the Mew EX to restart up to 3 cards. Not the greatest, but you get another shot with the Teal Dance.
Yep, every energy is a chance. It worked out so well. Finds the Iono, has the energy attachment for the turn as well, and the board's starting to look a little cleaner. I feel pretty comfortable about this game when you see your opponent has just that 1 copy of Ralts ready to get knocked out.
Yeah, and all those cards that Miloslav just built up off of the Grasping Draw do go to the bottom of the deck. So, just a minor downgrade from 7 cards to 6, but if there were any important cards in that hand, they will go straight to the bottom. Do you see another Teal Mask Ogerpon EX, another Teal Dance? Gets another energy in play, get to draw another card. And there is another one in hand. Looks like Ray does decide to go with it. Get more energy in play and finds the Area 0 Underdepths.
Wow. Yeah. This is so intimidating at this point. We talked about the potential for the 1-hit knockout on an eventual Gardevoird, but at this point it's just any 2 prizes constantly just to just take away at this prize race and beat up on your opponent with 12 minutes remaining. You could easily see all those energies in play on the next turn to get the job done. But you don't have to worry about the hit points. There's no Ralts at all next turn.
Yeah, there's no Thornton anymore, no weird stuff that can happen. So that will be the first knockout taken of the game. Ray takes down the Ralts once again using Prime Catcher. And now Miloslav, not in a terrible situation, but you do have to feel a little bit scared. Again, you just left yourself with one bench spot. We do see the Night Stretcher being used to get back that Ralts while you can. So heads up play there. And yeah, you just got to hope one of these turns that the Ralts makes it through and you can find the rare candy and the Gardevoird and kind of go from there.
Yeah, and you can set up energy on Monkey Dory. It's nice to have the dark energy for if damage is ever left on board, but I think it's more important to threaten confusion at this point, just something to slow your opponent down, put an attack in play that might buy you a turn to evolve into the Gardevoird.
Well, unfortunately that doesn't work because the protective mycelium as well prevents effects of attack, so yeah.
Just ready for everything. How are you doing this?
No mind bends for you.
There's just no answer. It's Toedscruel.
Miloslav does have the secret box in hand, so potentially this could lead to, finding the rare candy if he has Gardevoird in hand already. But this will be a crucial turn for Ray. We do see the teal dance. Will there be a boss's orders? Don't see one. Do see the Area 0 underdepths once again. Expanding the bench up to 8 and benching the Pheasantipity will allow Ray to draw cards off of restart.
Two chances.
Will we see a boss's orders?
It's not over yet.
It's a different B card bug catching set. Not quite the same.
It can still find the grass energies. You can play those down with the teal dance and maybe find off these next 2 draws a way to that boss's orders. If all else fails, you're holding Professor's Research. You feel great about building on that hand and continuing to advance this great board that you have. But if you find that boss's orders, that is another completely wasted turn for Miloslav.
One more shot. No. That's not going to do it. I think the question for Ray, there is that regular Toedscruel in hand. You could evolve. Doesn't seem like you necessarily want to. Oh, we have one more shot off of another teal dance, and that one also did not connect. I imagine you want to set up multiple Toedscruel EX, right? In case this one gets knocked out, you want to be able to have the option for a big attacker. But it looks like the supporter card is Professor's Research, so would have to discard that and a Super Rod, so you may not have access to that slime mold colony if you throw it away here, and she does decide to evolve. Now at this point, I think you have to hope to find a Toedscruel, get a backup attacker lined up.
Yep, you have that Super Rod. You can play that and bring that Toedscruel back into the deck, maybe find that resource once more with the research, then try to get some energies onto that Pokemon as a follow-up if anything were to ever happen to this active Toedscruel EX. But it's going to be that slower approach.
All right, another knockout, another prize card taken. Same as game number 1. Ray Chen takes the first 2 prize cards in this matchup against our reigning LAIC champion, Miloslav Posledny, and he will be looking to make a comeback once again. We saw the flip the script. Did he find a way to get rare candy and Gardevoird EX? I see a secret box, but Kyle, where's the other piece to it?
It's not working. It's just not there yet. You could find the rare candy. You could find the Ultra Ball. You can't find both.
Uh-oh. Now, this may be a situation where you play the secret box and you put a bunch of cards that you don't want to draw into your hand to maximize your chances of, playing the Iono and drawing into rare candy and Gardevoird. So I'm curious to see what Miloslav will do here. He gets, again, to search for one of each kind of trainer card, put them into his hand. Could also just go straight away for the Professor's Research and say, you know what, it's too important to find rare candy Gardevoird this turn. I need to maximize the number of cards I'm drawing. Kyle, which one would you go for in this spot?
It's tough. You see the hand, you see double Night Stretcher, but your opponent already played the Toedscruel. You're going to lose out on the Lily's Clefairy as an attacker from this point for the rest of the game if you go for the professor's research. I feel like Iono feels a little bit better, but it's going to be the Earthen Vessel Iono to start things off.
Yeah, it tricked me. I thought he was playing it. I was like, what?
Seems like he's leaning towards the research this time around. You're limited with your attackers for the rest of the game, but there might be enough pieces here.
All right, so again, this is what happened in game one. Kind of missed finding the rare candy Gardevoird, but then played a supporter card and drew both pieces. Will we see the same here? It's like Bravery Charm will get attached to boost the HP of that Screamtail, and big Professor's Research, 7 cards looking for rare candy and Gardevoird EX for a huge turn. What's it going to be?
About a third of the deck, and it's the last card. The rare candy creeps out in the back of the window. He's got exactly what he needs there to find the Gardevoird. Stay in this game.
Not making it easy for the Toedscruel EX deck. Ray probably not happy to see this Ultra Ball. You got to know a rare candy is coming with it. And I do think Miloslav has a lot of psychic energy in the discard pile at this point. He will be able to charge up pretty much any attack that he wants. Only has access to the one Adrenabrain with Monkey Dory. And the question is, what are you going for here?
Yeah.
I don't think you can knock out the active Toedscruel EX.
No.
You can power up Screamtail. You could go after a benched Pokemon like the Mew EX, potentially the Fezandipity EX if you have enough energy in the discard pile and you want to commit all the energy to the Screamtail. Seems like 2-prize knockout is what you're hoping for here.
Right.
So what would you do in this spot, Kyle?
You have 5 energies. You have access to the knockout with the Screamtail. Like, maybe if you have the Monkey Dory to help out.
I think that knocks out the Mew, right?
Yeah, you'll definitely have the Mew.
Of the Fezandipity knockout?
Yeah, with no damage counters on board, you're going to miss out on the Fezandipity. But, I mean, you just need to stay in the prize race at this point. You can't put the Gardevoird at risk either, because that is the one of your 2 copies of rare candy. You're already down all your Corellia.
Yep. Now, one thing you could do is just hit the Fezandipity for 200 and then finish it off later with the Adrenabrain. Prevents your opponent from getting access to flip the script on this turn. So that could be something we see as well. You're not actively taking the prize cards, but you're banking on your opponent not being able to heal the Fezandipity, move it out of play, anything like that, and just setting yourself up for a massive turn in the next couple turns.
Yeah, all of the cards that would punish that, and you don't really see. There's no counter stadium to remove this Pokemon, but is going to be a knockout there to take it out.
Yep, just going to go for it straight away. Knocks out the Fezandipity EX with the combination of the Monkey Dory Adrenabrain, moving the damage away from Gardevoird EX. Puts 2 damage counters on the Fezandipity, and then you do have the Roaring Scream for 200 to knock out the Fezandipity EX. And now this is where the game tightens up. Neither player can afford to miss at this point. Ray needs to find some way to close out this game. You got to think 2-prize knockouts are the name of the game. Prime Catcher is down, though. Can you afford to just ignore this Screamtail for a while?
Yeah, it's such a big threat at this point. It can remove that Mew at any point of the game.
Yep.
You want to take a 2-prize knockout. You'd like to go boss and take Gardevoird and Fezandipity, but you still need to find energies to go along with that, along with the boss's orders. You're just missing out on too many resources. You might just have to attack through the active Pokemon a few times and hope that the hit points of Toedscruel keep you in the game.
Yeah, Ray doing a quick count. How many energy do I actually have in play? How many do I even have left? A couple Super Rod being played here. It is up to 3. So, if you want to play more cards out of your hands, you can restart with Mew EX. It's a clever way to just get more cards out of your hand. Yeah, it is going to be challenging from here on out. Again, Toedscruel only has the 60 HP, so if you bench one, it could be a target for Monkey Dory's Adrenabrain. We do see the Iron Leaves coming in here. What is the plan going to be? Looks like it is going to come with some energy cards. What's the plan here?
Well, you get to have an additional energy on a Pokemon on your bench. If you don't choose to attack with it, you still get to retreat, and you have 6 energies on your bench Pokemon. If you find boss's orders, you can take Gardevoird out.
Well, that is a good start.
Is there... Does she have all the pieces, though, at this point? You have...
6 Pokemon with energy on them on the bench?
It'd be 6 at that point. So you're dealing...
320.
320. That sounds good to me.
That'll do it. Of course, the looming problem is that there's a Screamtail that's doing 200 anything on the board still.
It's not great. But it does put the pressure back on Miloslav to find the answer, find a Gardevoird, because you won't be able to finish the game with Screamtail. Screamtail will keep you in it. It will find you 2 more prize cards on that Mew. But afterwards, you need to have an answer. You don't have cards like Blood Moon or Saluna here. You need to have Gardevoird to set up that final attack.
Tense one here in round 6 at the Portland Regional Championships. Both of these players, if they win this round, will advance to day 2 of the competition. We only have 8 rounds today, so 6-2 record will qualify you to play on Sunday and keep you alive to win the tournament. Of course, both these players have a really strong record, very likely to make it, but you'd love to seal it up here. And there we do see the boss's orders going after the Gardevoird EX. Iron Leaf's going to retreat, and here comes Toedscruel EX with the Colony Rush. Thanks to the Area 0 underdepths. Allows you to have a bunch of Pokemon with Grass Energy attached. Gardevoird EX goes down, and Ray is at 2 prize cards.
And just in time. We are at 15 seconds remaining in this game. Time +3 will be in effect very soon. And for Miloslav and Ray, that means you are running out of opportunities to close out this game and lock up a 6-0.
Let's not forget, 2 Kirlia went to the discard pile early on in this game. There was 1 rare candy played. There's only 2 in the deck, so that means there's only 1 more rare candy to potentially get another Gardevoird EX into play. This could be challenging for Miloslav to find the last way to get knockouts here. This is a very, very tight game. You know, there's very slim margins on who's going to come out on top here, and looks like time was called. It looks like, are both Gardevoird EX in the discard pile?
I don't know if we have confirmation on that yet, but it's if that is the case, that's a big problem. No way to bring this Pokemon back would be devastating. You'd have to make sure that the Screamtail sticks around for multiple turns in order to get that done.
All right, and yeah, time has been called. Miloslav is turn 0. So yeah, +3 turns. Both players will effectively get 2 turns. If there's no definitive winner, this will end in a tie. But Ray will, of course, have an opportunity to win. Just kind of needs a boss's orders to close out this match. Miloslav maybe weighing some options here. You know, am I playing? Oh, there's another Gardevoird.
Wow. With the rare candy as well.
A rare candy and Gardevoird off 4 cards? Looks like they are not both in the discard pile.
No, I didn't want to jump on that yet. It's finding exactly what they need to stay in the game. Has the rare candy Gardevoird now. Screamtail can take a knockout. Gardevoird can eye up a way to close this thing out. What can you do to further advance this, though? Maybe just any placement of damage on Toedscruel EX would make you feel comfortable, because then you have double Monkey Dory 250 with Gardevoird at some point.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, are you going for the win, or are you going to not lose? Like, what is your plan here at this point? I imagine you're trying to go for the win.
Yeah,
right.
When you've already won a major event this year, and you're probably not cared too much about your points totals, you got to go for victories.
Yep. See both players laughing about Miloslav getting the other rare candy and Gardevoird. This has been, both players throwing, haymakers back and forth at each other. It's been a bumpy ride at times, but when it comes down to it, both players have been able to execute their strategies at crucial moments. And Miloslav, again, trying to figure out, what am I doing here? You can go after the Mew EX.
It's like,
just take the 2 prize cards, hope that you can piece together the last knockout on the following turn. He's reading this once again, making sure there's nothing weird that like stops him from hitting Pokemon on the bench. I don't believe so. Screamtail does damage, so it does not prevent that. It's just effects of attacks.
Right.
And we do see
huge.
Look at this. Moving one damage counter to set up the Screamtail to get 130 damage on it and hit the Toedscruel EX for 260 plus the 10 from the Adrenabrain, and that Toedscruel EX goes down.
It felt like moonlight math at that point. That's just exactly what you need to do at that point. Play with the damage to a perfect number. Every psychic energy in the deck is on this Pokemon here. And it took exactly that to get the job done.
Oh, wow. All right, so now what is next here? If you're Ray, obviously you can still find some way to win this turn, right? If you get another Toedscruel EX, a Grass Energy, you find your last boss's orders, you can bring up the Gardevoird EX or the Pheasantipity EX and win the game this turn. That is on the table. If not, what can you do?
Yeah, you switch gears, you play for the tie, and you slow down. But
you might go for like
Toedscruel pass. Yeah,
I mean, you have to knock out the Screamtail, right? It can knock out you can knock out your Mew EX, your Iron Leaves EX. So you have to deal with the Screamtail, or you have to knock out the Gardevoird EX to win.
Right.
If you knock out the Screamtail, you got to think Miloslav has a way to potentially close out the game. The counter catcher would be live at that point. This is going to be tense. We do have Pheasantipity EX, and we do have Mew EX. Ray can restart, draw 2 cards. Let's see where this heads. A bug catching set, okay.
Right. Additional energies to thin the deck out a little bit more as well. Then you have Pheasantipity to draw resources.
Sequencing is key here. Looks like
to see the cards first.
There may be things on the bottom that she knows about. Okay, boss's orders. Energy.
What? That's just it.
Was that everything?
I mean, you have the energies there. You can go after the Pheasantipity. That's just all the cards you need to win the game. Count it out, but I think the resources are there. 4 energies on the 5 now. Yeah, you got it.
We talk about top deck. How about the perfect 3 cards off the flip the script? And Ray Chen takes down Miloslav, our reigning LAIC champion, to advance to 6-0 with Toedscruel EX and advance to day 2 here in Portland. Kyle, we can't make this stuff up.
That's why you don't play the bug catching set. You can't. You can't afford to shuffle right there. They're all waiting for you on the top. That is
just know it's there.
Unbelievable. You actually just needed all of them. And she finds every answer to close out. Destiny is with the Toedscruel.
Just a round of applause.
Honestly.
I mean, that is incredible. What else can you say? We didn't even have a recap for Game 2 because it didn't last more than a turn. But, I mean, the 2 games we saw were really back and forth. What a crazy ending. You have to flip the script into the 3 exact cards you need. You just casually get all of them.
I mean, we'll talk about what we have in the replay here. I mean, it was unreal, the match that we just experienced. Piecing together how this matchup can go. Of course it starts with turn 1 knockout on a Ralts. How else would it start when you're a Toedscruel tech? We see the knockouts start flying in this matchup. Miloslav does a fantastic job of getting off to this very aggressive mid-stage of the game, using that Drifloon to his advantage. And Ray is fighting, has the spirit though, and continues to battle on, puts up a great effort, and starts to bring this comeback together, but with almost every card in the deck. The double dark energy is there, and we get to go to Game 2, one of my favorite games.
Yeah, let me handle this one, Kyle. On to Game 3.
Well done, Buka. Not skipping a beat there as we jump in. But honestly, that Game 2 is so impactful, it led to exactly enough time for both these players to have a chance to win this game. Miloslav playing his heart out, trying to find an answer, needs Rare Candy Gardevoird, not in just this spot, but in another spot as well. Finds it both times to get the job done. Ray, not done yet, finds 320 damage for a knockout with Toedscruel, and here it is again.
Yep, and Miloslav, to his credit, does everything he can to put himself in position to win, sets up the Scream Tail play, and then it just comes down to flip the script. What if I needed these 3 exact cards? And you know what, Kyle? Sometimes this is a beautiful game that we get to play and watch, and this is just a masterpiece.
That's